got today, what I wanted to try to do was, I want to try my hand, and I've been going over this for a while now. I've been preparing for this day for about a year, maybe longer, to make a electromagnetic chuck. Now I'm not looking to make a big one, or maybe I am, I don't know. I've got two transformers, and I thought they were identical until I looked at them here a while ago. And I'll bring you down here and we'll show you what we got. Alright, so I don't know how well these are going to work, or how well my job's going to be, but we got this one, which is a 1000 UF or U, and this one's only 900. It's just a slight shorter. If you want to get right down to the nitty gritty, they are the same size, just different size, or they about a 1/4 inch shorter than that one, but it's about 3/16 bigger that way. So if you want to get right down to the nitty gritty, there's the same amount of metal. Just distributed in a different direction. Anyway, the first order of business is we need to take and cut that weld right there on this side and that side, and we're going to do that to both of these. And we're going to take the secondary winding off. We're going to take this one out and leave this one on both of them, and then this will go back in it once it's done. But let's get that part taken off first. Alright, so now we've got it in the chuck, or the vise chuck, and we're using our DeWalt E4011 grinder to cut this thing down with. This thing gets a workout. So let's get started. Alright, so now we've got the tops cut off of these. Who knows, we might be able to use them for something. Paperweight. Alright, so now we're going to slide this one up out of there, hopefully, without a whole lot of problems. Let's cut that wire off of there and get it out of our way. Well, those things don't want to come out of there now, do they? Alright guys, we got these out, and I'm going to tell you, them coils are not easy to get out of there. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean all this out, because it's got paper stuck to it, and we're going to clean all that out on the sides and get that smooth so we can put this one back down in there. Alright, so now we have the magnet. What I had originally thought of doing was using this thing and put that down in there, but you can see what the problem is. There's no way to there's not enough room in there to put that. So I was going to put it in there, weld it to the bottom of it, and then put fiberglass resin in it, filling it up to the top, and then take the mill and mill all the top of this off. But this is not big enough, and it had the Bison Workshop name already on it, as you can see. So that leaves me to having to build a box. But for test purposes, let's test this bad boy out and see if it's going to work. And let's get us something that's magnetic. There we go. Alright. We have a magnet. Let's test the other one too. There's one. That one's not as strong. It is strong. But man, that thing really is strong. Wires are getting warm. These are pretty heavy wires. So that's the only concern that I'm going to have, is if I need to hold something for a long period of time. We're just doing a test here today to see how this is going to work and to find problems. This thing here is pretty hot. So, alright, we've got the magnetism figured out. That one there, wish that one was in a little further. But anyway, so now we know the problems that can arise from this. And I'm pretty sure that it doesn't matter what polarity you put it in. You can put the positive on this one, or you can put the positive on this one, either way. But we've already determined that these are really nice magnets. Now what I'd like to do is either run those together, or run them separately, or do two different ones. We can do, so if both of these would have been exactly the same size, I'd have probably made one long one, about that long. But that presents a problem. These are two different sizes. And yeah, it will work. I just have to, raise this one to the same height. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I could put them in there because I'm going to be milling the top of them off anyway. This one here is just going to be a little different size than this one. Not that anybody would even realize it. But we can run them just like that right there inside of a metal box. And this is what I plan to use. This here with what my drill press that I've got, my ram drill press was mounted to. Excuse me. This was the bottom shelf, and this was the top that the drill press was bolted to. So I'm thinking something like that right there. Well, that's not going to work either. So I'm going to have to build a box from scratch. Now that one will work because these studs here, or things here, are lower. I could take this out and turn it around and put these facing down. That's not a bad idea. I can do that. If I do that, then yeah, this will probably work. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll turn these around and mount them in the other way. That way this will be deep enough so that when I put the resin in, it'll go over top of this by about, I don't know, 3/16 to an eighth, something like that. And I'll make the box out of this one, and we'll use this section right here that's already got two sides on it, and then we'll come over here and cut the corner out of this one, this part over here, to put right here. And well, that's not going to be long enough. Well, we might have to turn it this way. Yeah, we can turn it that way and just cut that right there, and then straighten that because I didn't do a very good straight cut on that. And then I'll just take the rest of it out of this side and put here, and that'll make our box. Once we've got this mounted inside of this, then we can pour our resin down in around all that, and then once we've welded these in there, actually we'll do that, that'll be the last thing we do. We'll go to the other side of it and weld something to it to be able to mount it in the vise. So that's a pretty heavy piece right there, and I don't see me squishing that with the vise. So what we'll do, we'll turn that over and we'll weld that, and that'll even close them holes up too at the same time. So we're killing two birds with one stone. I'm thinking I want to use it over here because let's see here. Yeah, so well, let's see where we're going to go with that. We're going to allow about that much. So we're going to have us a table that is going to be about 9 by 6. So 6 by 9. Alright. Then we're going to try to put this as close to the center as we possibly can. which is going to bring it right to the edge of those holes. And then we'll just tack weld that, weld it on each end, and then we'll just tack weld it in several different places. Actually, what I'm thinking I want to do is I want to put a plate on the top of this. Bear with me here, I'll show you what I mean. What I want to do is put a plate on it, and that would be the perfect piece right there too. I hate getting rid of that piece because I use that piece a lot when I'm clamping stuff up in my... I might be able to find something else. But the reason I want to put a plate on that, I just realized that if I put a plate on this and weld it through these holes and then clean it off flat, then I can turn that over and then weld that here instead of here. The reason for that would be so that when you go to put this in the jaw of the vise, the jaw doesn't rest on one of the welds, and you know you're not going to have the welds going to be the exact same height, and it's going to be a pain in the butt to get it to mount in the vise. We're going to weld a plate to that, then we'll weld this to that, and that'll give us our clamp surface for putting it in the vise. So that's our plan. So I'll probably do some 45 in here just to make that look nice. Do a 45 here. Cut this to the same width as this, or length. Alright, like I said, that'll cover the hole, the two holes that's in it. So we're on our way to making a electromagnetic chuck. Now, let's talk about this for a minute. Let's talk this through. Alright, we've seen that when the wires was hooked up to it, they got hot. And I didn't have them on there very long, and they were getting pretty hot. So, what do we need to do to stop that from happening? That's going to be my number one question. I don't want something that I have to worry about burning my shop down. You know, accidents happen. I might walk off and forget and leave that thing hooked up, and then there we go, we got melted wires going to fall and melt down on something and burn something, and then it's going to catch the whole damn shop on fire. I don't need that. So we need to make sure that we think this process through. I know that I will be using heavier wire, probably use AC electrical wire, maybe a 14-2, and wire it to where the plug's going to be. We plan to run 12 volt from a battery. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this shop up. Yes, I have 12 volt there at the inverter, but I don't want to use that. First of all, that thing's going to be drawing a lot of amps, so I don't want to put no unnecessary stress on my inverter. So I want to put a new source of 12 volt power from a battery straight to under the bench at the vise, under the bench here, or at the bench here, and one back at the mill. That way I have 3 different places to hook up. And then I'll just have a jumper wire that goes from that plugs into a special plug that nothing can be plugged into it except for that. We don't want to use a regular wall socket plug and then find out that somebody plugged the wrong thing in it. But then again, well, you don't want to accidentally plug it up into your AC wall, because it'll probably cause some problems. I don't know if it would or not. It might just make the magnet stronger, who knows. But that's why we talk these things through. That's why we think these things through before we go and commit ourselves to making things that are going to be problems for you. So, we know that it works. We know that it's going to work. We just want to make sure that it's not going to melt wires. Because if you're doing a milling job, or you're doing a drill job, or you're doing a grinding job, and you want to use that to hold your part, it's going to be set. It's going to be on longer than the couple of seconds that I had it on there, and they were getting warm then. So we want this thing to be able to at least do 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. So I'd like for it to just be able to turn it on and not have to worry about it at all, and just, if I accidentally walk away from it and forget it, it doesn't hurt nothing. That would be the ideal situation. So I'm going to put this video up as just the plans and preparations for the electromagnetic chuck. That way I get people's input. This is the first time I've ever done this. I've seen people do it, and it's pretty simple to do. The physical part is easy to do. It's pretty simple. You got a battery, you got wires, you got coils, and you got a core. So it's pretty simple. I just want to make sure I got the right combination of stuff. So give me your all's input on this, guys, and let me know what you think. And if it's not going to work, it ain't going to work. But I've seen people do it, so I know it's going to work. I've watched Making It Extreme. He did one. Of course, he doesn't go into detail about the size wire. He doesn't go into details about problems with it, like the wire's heating up and this is what you got to do to keep that from happening. Nobody tells you that. That's top secret. Nobody wants you to know that, because they don't want you to make one. Those are the details I'm looking for. The mechanical part, I have no problem with it. I can handle that. It's the electrical part that I want all the details I can get on it, and keep this from melting wires. I don't want melted wires. So let me know what you think. I may have to put a battery pack on it and use it from back from one tool to the next. That's the goal, is to be able to use this on the vise, on the drill press, or the mill with equal enthusiasm. So anyway, I think that's about all we can do to update on the shop. Like I said, we're still waiting on the bearing for a replacement bearing that never showed up, that said it showed up. And that'll be, I know we're not going to get it. I just know it. I know we're not going to get that bearing. He's going to end up having to go rebuy that thing and get a refund for this one. And that alone is going to be a job in itself. So I'll wait for y'all's input. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And you guys have a good one. Later.